You're listening to the Color Country Podcast, your passport to the breathtaking public lands and tourism destinations nestled in southern Utah and northern Arizona. Join host Stephanie DeGraw and her guests.
Hi, and welcome to the Color Country Podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie DeGraw. Today, I'm talking with Devan Chavez, who is the Associate Director of the Utah State's Parks in the Utah Department of Natural Resources Division of State Parks. I hope I said that right. That's a mouthful. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Stephanie. And yes, you did say that correctly. Utah Division of State Parks within the Department of Natural Resources. And I'm very happy to be here.
Well, it's wonderful to talk to you today. We're at that time of year where it's going to be getting very busy at the state parks. And this year, each year, you kind of look ahead and into your crystal ball, so to speak, and try and predict. I know it's hard what we can expect for the summertime months, but what would you like people to know?
That parks are busy. Whether you're visiting state parks, which I happen to have a little bit of expertise in, but really any park or outdoor recreation area in the state, the word is out on Utah, especially southern Utah. And I mean, year over year, especially at state parks, we're seeing increases. So the big thing to people that I like to communicate is know before you go, check before you outdoor rec, however you want to say it. Look at park conditions before getting on the road. What I do not want is for people to arrive at a park and be surprised that there might be a line or a wait to get in. I try and have people be completely aware of anything like that before getting on the road. That way they can make alternative plans if they would like. But if they really have their heart set on a specific park and they're willing to wait in the line, they're willing to do it when they get there. But what I want is to get as many people experiencing the outdoors as responsibly and safely as possible.
Yes, and that reminds me that I know if you look at the park websites and like you say, you're checking, sometimes you can time your trip a little bit better to miss the crowds. For example, maybe you get there super early, like maybe leave earlier than you originally planned. Or like for me, since I hate getting up early in the morning, I actually decided when I was over in the Moab area to visit Arches National Park after I think it was 3:30 or 4. There was a certain time of day when it slowed down, and as I was going into the park, I really didn't have a line, but there was a whole bunch of people coming out of the park because they were on to their next adventure. So I think pre-planning is really key.
Pre-planning and then being open to experiencing parks in new and exciting ways. Exactly like you're saying, you went at a different time of day that, you see a big line of people coming out. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of don't really make that pre-plan in their head before getting on the road, or even a week or a month or a day before, is how can I experience wherever I'm looking to go, whether that be a county, a state park, wherever it is, and try and have something unique about it. And if you're looking to beat the crowds, midweek is also fantastic. If you can manage to pull that off, visiting after work during the week is also a great option. It doesn't have to be a big, long trip. A lot of these state parks are in a lot of our backyards, especially down in your neck of the woods. I mean, there's 4 parks within a 20-minute drive that you could definitely hit up after work if you're looking to just get, your experience really quickly like that. But experiencing it after the crowds leave at night is an awesome, awesome way to do so, especially if you're visiting parks in the desert areas like where you're at. A lot of our parks have programs that actually are especially geared towards after hours. Things like star parties or nighttime scorpion hunts or full moon hikes. Those are not only awesome ways to get out and experiencing a park in a new and exciting way, but it's also less crowded. And you get to beat the heat, depending on the time of year.
That's true. And we have the most beautiful dark skies. So let's talk about how state parks are different from federal parks.
Perfect. Well, that's a question that we actually get a lot. And to be quite honest, it's not a very surprising question. Most of the general public doesn't necessarily know the difference between a BLM area, a Forest Service area, a national park, or a state park. They want to go to the pretty outdoor area and experience, whether it's a camping trip or a hiking or boating or rafting or kayaking, whatever it is, and they want to do that and leave. So I am very appreciative of that question, especially because state parks are unique, not only in the state of Utah compared to other areas, but to the majority of the other state park systems in the country, in that it goes into how we're funded. So for a number of years now, state parks has been tasked by the state legislature to operate as a business, which means that we need to be able to cover our own operating costs. So often I hear from people, why do I need to pay a day use charge to get into Snow Canyon State Park? Why do I have to have a camping fee to go to Sand Hollow State Park? It's because that money, that dollar, that $10, that $35, whatever it might be, goes directly back into operating and maintaining our state parks. It goes to pay for rangers. It goes to help improve trail systems, to improve programming, all the way down to making sure that there's toilet paper in the restrooms. That's where that money comes from. We are tasked with not relying on taxpayer dollars for our operations costs. We do rely on some general fund occasionally when we bring on new park systems that are outside of, the budget. If parks like Utah Raptor or Lost Creek or Echo State Park come online, or it's a major project like some going on in Old Island State Park right now, then you'll see us get some general funding. But by and large, day-to-day operations, programming, everything like that is reliant on the visitor. And I think that makes this unique, and it's actually something I'm quite proud of. Not only does it allow us to be fiscally responsible as a government agency, but I think to the visitor, it allows the visitor to make their choice with their dollar. That when we rely on the visitor, it allows us to open up a new experience for them that they might not have had if they were getting access to a park for free, because in a way they're investing in keeping these parks open. If we can get people to come and directly experience the parks, instead of me talking about how beautiful a sunset is at Dead Horse Point State Park or showing them a picture, I'm trying to get someone there to see it, to smell it, to taste the air, and to experience the sunset itself. So then they get to kind of become an investor in the park system. They'll become a return visitor and help keep that park operating and improving over the years. And I think that's something that we're very proud of, and it's something that I'm excited to share with people.
Yes, and I totally agree. And I have to say, we are so fortunate in Utah because our parks are so well maintained, and it does feel great to feel like you're contributing to that in some small way. And I wanted to talk to you about some of the special programs that are unique to the state parks. I know we have a lot of educational outreach and beautiful facilities that visitors often wouldn't find anyplace else. Can you give us some examples of that?
So Utah Division of State Parks manages our areas differently than a lot of other agencies. And this, I want to be clear, is not taking away anything from the BLM, the Forest Service, or the National Park Service. We're just different. And we want to operate almost like a branded experience for people, that when they come to a park, whether it be Goblin Valley State Park, Jordanelle State Park, Dead Horse Point State Park, or Sand Hollow State Park, they can experience not the exact same experience. Obviously, they're vastly different parks, but the amenities and the experience itself and the lodging opportunities and the way the campgrounds are run can be done in a similar way. When you visit a state park, you'll often find amenities such as flushable restrooms, hookups for your RVs, lodging opportunities that are like cabins, yurts, and even we're calling them cottages, but they're essentially tiny homes that come with fully functional bathrooms, kitchens, lofts, bunk beds, and living rooms. A little bit of something for everybody. And if you're still looking for that, down and dirty, getting in the tent and being in the dirt and having the campfire in your face and making s'mores experience that I grew up and love, State Parks offers that too. But that's in a little bit of a way that we're different. We're constantly trying to find new and exciting ways to innovate, especially when it comes to lodging. I mentioned the cottages, tiny homes. We have hammock campgrounds that people can come and string up about 7 to 8 hammocks around one structure and have like a whole hammock camp out. We have Conestoga wagons. We even have pit houses at parks like Fremont Indian State Park. We're constantly looking for ways for people to get outside and experience these parks in new and exciting ways. And that's just on the amenities side. I know that a lot of parks throughout the state have programming, but programming as far as interpretation and guided hikes and dark sky parties and even events like egg hunts. I mean, this for springtime, you'll see it at a vast majority of our state parks is we're looking to get people to a park, even if it's a park that they have driven by and been to a million times, something that gets them excited to go and visit that park again. Not something that, oh, I've been to Snow Canyon once before already, I'm good. I've been to Snow Canyon hundreds of times, and I can't tell you how many things there are at Snow Canyon that I still want to go and do, whether it can be a tortoise stroll or another guided nighttime hike lake.
As far as lodging, Gunlock State Park has just opened up in the last couple years some beautiful little tiny houses with a great big deck you can sit out on and look at the lake. It's just beautiful. Let's talk about why the visitors are so important, and maybe a little bit too reminding the visitors about their impact on the state parks.
Absolutely. So visitors are crucial to the health, improvement, and operations of all of our state parks. You heard me say just a little while ago about how that dollar goes directly into helping ensure that these parks remain staffed, maintained, and also improved upon. But not only that is that Utah is going to continue to see increases in visitation. We're going to see it. We saw that especially in the southern Utah area where you are, during the pandemic era, it exploded. I mean, during the first year of the pandemic, state parks saw a 33% increase in visitation across the state. That's a lot of people. And while the lockdowns across the country might not still be going on, those visitors remembered the experience they had at Sand Hollow State Park, at Snow Canyon State Park, and especially at Gunlock State Park, because if you recall, the waterfalls were also going on during that time as well.
That's right.
So some people got their awesome Instagram shot during that time, and word got out quick. So it has to go with how we responsibly manage these people when they visit our parks. And we do that through a number of ways. The most common one, and is honestly a question that we get quite often, is what does it mean when we say the park has reached capacity? We're no longer accepting people in. That means that every park has a determined number of available parking spaces. And that's how we base our capacity off of, rather than trying to create additional, made up parking spaces or cram people into every single nook and cranny we can. We say that once we've reached our capacity for parking spaces, or in some cases, if it's a reservoir park, for boating spaces, then we're no longer accepting people until some people leave. We do that for two reasons. One, to keep our visitors safe, especially at our reservoir parks. The more boats there are on the water, the more closer these individuals are together. And there is a 150-foot proximity law in the state of Utah. That means that you can't be underwake if you're within 150 feet of another boat, structure, swimmer, anything like that. So it's safety. Second is the visitor experience, is that people don't want to come to a park that is completely jam-packed full of people the entire time. So it's maintaining that visitor experience. And then thirdly, it's also helping us manage these crowds efficiently, as efficiently as we can, especially during these peak times. So if you see a park that is saying on their social media pages or on their website that they've reached capacity and they expect the wait time to be 30 minutes, 2 hours. If it's at Goblin Valley and it's a springtime, it could be 3 hours.
Right.
Then that's what that means. And some visitors are willing to wait that amount of time. But again, that's why checking before getting on the road is so important. And then the second aspect of how we responsibly try and manage these areas is by engaging with the visitors directly and having the visitors become advocates for responsible recreation themselves. I mean, we all know that a park ranger is going to tell you to not litter, to stick to the trail, to wear your helmet and life jacket. And that's all well and good. And I'm very, very happy that we do that. And people do listen to us. But there aren't rangers on every single corner at a state park. There's not, a ranger every 100 yards. There's not rangers all over the water. And there's not a ranger in every single boat. But you know what there is? There's other visitors. And if we can get these visitors to become advocates for all those things I just mentioned, then that helps our parks tremendously in as far as responsible recreation. Because if you're a new recreator and you come to Utah, you're going to read the pamphlet and you're going to maybe see an ad campaign that the park has pushed out or something like that. But you're far more likely to look at what all the other people around you are doing and follow suit. And I think that's one of the great ways that state parks has been so successful, is that in 2024, we had almost 13 million visitors. We had 12,968,493 visitors in 2024, and that number keeps rising every year. But the number of incidents of vandalism and incidents like boating fatalities in regards to life jackets, yes, they still happen. In my opinion, one of any of those things is too many. But when you look at the number of visitors we're getting, it's not seeing that same dramatic increase that we're seeing in visitation. And I credit that to our visitors. Obviously, I give credit to our parks and our rangers, but a big portion of it has got to go to our visitors, to just say thank you to them for being the the responsible recreator and for being the good example to the new recreator out there in the trail, in the water, on the sand dunes. Is they're the ones that other people are looking at. And if we can get all these people to become members of our team, so to speak, I think that that's how we all win.
Well, absolutely. And it really is, it's hard to imagine that people might be noticing what you're doing, but they do. And it is funny how human nature likes to fit in. So just remember when you're out there that someone might be watching you. Are you taking the time to clean up your campsite? Well, that's right. You often don't think of yourself as being an advocate for a park, but you are, as you are cleaning up your campsite and wearing your life jacket. So I think that's great insight, is that we've got to be examples to each other. And, speaking about getting the people to really feel like the park is theirs, how does a visitor give you feedback to help you decide park policies, maintenance priorities, or future development? How can we let your office know what we'd like to see with the state parks?
That's an excellent question, and one that we take seriously and are actually right now looking to improve upon. The first way is to get out and experience the park yourself. If you hear that there might be something going on at Snow Canyon that might need some improvements, or someone's excited about a new improvement at Quail Creek, for example, Quail Creek State Park down there, is going out and experiencing it yourself. That's the first step in getting involved in your state park, is going out and becoming a visitor, going out and becoming directly involved in the process. And from there, you can do it a number of ways. The best one I recommend is directly engaging with a park ranger or a park manager. These are the boots on the ground people that are there every single day, and we trust them immensely when it comes to letting us know about things that are broken, things that might need to be improved upon, ideas for programming or events. I mean, it all starts with those first conversations. So I think that that's a fantastic way to do it. There's also ways on our website if you're looking to speak to someone either at the region level. In state parks, we're broken up into 3 regions: the North region, the East region, and the South region, just based off of the geographic area of the state that the park's located in. And you can reach out to each of those region offices via phone or by stopping by in person to speak with a region manager. There's also a public comment form on our website where you can put your name and email address and send an official, we call it a park comment. Let us know about something that made you happy, something that didn't make you so happy, an idea you might have. And for every single one of those, we follow up on. We give a response, either written or a phone call, and try and get back to them. And if you want to go even further, big one would be volunteering at your local state park.
I was just wondering how a person could volunteer, because that's really a great way to give back.
Absolutely. And you can do that a number of ways. You can do a one-time off cleanup project if you'd like to go spend a day at Kodachrome Basin State Park cleaning up campsites. They would more than happy to help you do that at any of our state parks. You could also become a campground host, which are individuals who for certain times of year essentially live at the park. And part of the deal is that they get to stay at the park and they assist with general maintenance, cleaning, overseeing day-to-day questions from other campers in the campground. I'm sure you've seen them at a number of parks. That's an awesome way to do it. And then there's also other ways to become a volunteer, like becoming a trail worker or a trail steward. Parks like Wasatch Mountain State Park are heavily involved with local trail groups in improving and expanding trail systems, because these are people that are out and about and see these trails on a day-to-day basis. And then lastly, if you're looking to become a super volunteer of sorts, a number of our parks also have friends groups that are nonprofit groups directly created for the purpose of becoming advocates for that local park. Snow Canyon State Park has a friends group, Friends of Snow Canyon, that is heavily involved in trying to improve and keep Snow Canyon the beautiful gem of the park system that it is. So those are just some ways that people can volunteer. It could be a one-time thing if you're looking to do something with a local community group or your friends or a scout troop of some sort, or your Rotary or Lions Club, whatever it might be, all the way to, becoming a campground host or a friends group member.
Well, that's great. And I wondered also if you might just comment, wrapping this up, on, we're biased. We love it here, obviously. We love our Utah state parks, but how do we compare with other state parks? Is there anything uniquely special about Utah state parks compared to others?
When I think about Utah, first thing that comes to my mind is just how much resource we have available in terms of outdoor recreation that other states don't have. Other states are beautiful, don't get me wrong. I love visiting Montana. I love visiting even California, Washington. North Carolina has been one of my favorites to visit for a number of years. Even Hawaii has a beautiful state park system. But what makes Utah unique is that I can be up at Wasatch Mountain State Park and I can go snowshoeing in that same day. I can go up and I can snowshoe, and I could do a snowshoe hike at Wasatch Mountain State Park. I could get in my car and I can drive to central Utah and I could play golf at Palisades State Park. I can get in my car
That
and I
is
could drive
amazing.
either.
Yeah.
I can drive east or south. And from there, whether I'm in Moab or the St. George area, I have Red Rock. I have mountain bike access. I have slick rock trails. I have sand dunes, all within one state. I can't think of other areas that have that much variety. And I won't pick on any specific state. I used to pick on some in the Midwest just because it was an easy one to do. But if you took a park like Kodachrome Basin State Park, one of my personal favorites, and it's still a hidden gem of the park system, and you took Kodachrome Basin State Park and you put that at any other state, whether or not they're in the Midwest or not, that entire state would be marketed around visiting Kodachrome Basin State Park. And we are so blessed and spoiled in the state of Utah that we have Kodachrome Basin State Park, and it's just one of many other places. Kodachrome Basin State Park ranks right in the middle of visitation for us. And you took it and put it in another state and it'd be entirely what it's based around. Or Snow Canyon. Can you imagine Snow Canyon State Park anywhere else? And for us, it's like a great way to say, hey, beat the crowds at Zion, experience something closer to St. George. It's just one of many places for us to go. And it's only ranked 4th. Not only, 994,000 visitors is a lot of visitors, but if you took Snow Canyon and put it anywhere else, that would be the goal for that state. But for us here in Utah, we're so blessed and lucky, and I'll say again, spoiled, that we have all of these amazing areas at our fingertips to go and enjoy. You could visit a new state park every week for an entire year. We have 46 parks, and you would still only be scratching the surface of what each of those parks has to offer. You could visit one state park a month and spend an entire month at a state park and still just be scratching the surface. There's people that spend 15 years working at just one state park and they still love it, and that's why they're there.
That's so true. And that's the dream, get in a van and visit all the parks and not have to work. But
well, employment is another way too. You want to talk about a super volunteer work. I know that I'm lucky enough right now to have what I consider, I actually just said it yesterday to my boss, is that I have what many people would consider a dream job, and what I consider to be a dream job for me as well. And when you talk to a visitor at a park and you see them engaging with a ranger or a park manager, you hear them say, wow, you have the best job in the world. And I'll quote Wendy Wilson, who was our park ranger, manager, and now region manager, but she spent a ton of years out at Antelope Island State Park. And she says, some people tell me I have the best job in the world, and I do. And it even just right now, I'm not even joking, Stephanie, I have goosebumps from that. She has been one of the biggest advocates for how great it is to work for our park system. And I can't echo that enough. So if you really want to experience state parks in a way that no other visitor can, I think volunteering and then even employment is a fantastic way to experience it.
Oh, that's so true. And I love how you said early on too that Utah state parks are always looking to improve upon themselves, and we've had some exciting expansions in the last few years. So let's talk about any upcoming projects or any parks that just opened. Maybe people aren't aware they opened or are opening this year. And then let's talk about future projects. So what have we got going on this year and in the future?
So state parks, as we've said, are always looking to improve, expand, and in some cases, even bring brand new parks online. And this year, we're doing a bit of all of that. One I'm most excited about, because it has been in the making since 2021, is Utah Raptor State Park. We are looking to have that grand opening celebration here, hopefully by the start of June, so not too far away. Utah Raptor State Park, for those who don't know, is located 5 miles north of Moab and is truly going to be one of the best ways to experience what Utah State Parks has to offer. So many times you have recreation-based parks like Sand Hollow, for instance, that are just, there's so many different activities that you could do outdoor recreation wise. You have historic parks like Utah Fieldhouse and Natural History State Park Museum in Vernal that's based around dinosaurs, or Fremont Indian State Park Museum in central Utah that's based around, indigenous cultures and native tribes around the state. What Utah Raptor is going to do is it's going to combine culture, combine outdoor recreation, and combine Utah history all into one amazing state park. Utah Raptor State Park has expansive trail systems for mountain bikes and ATVs. Anyone who's been to the Dalton Wells and Willow Springs area in Moab, this is that area being repurposed as Utah State Park's own Utah Raptor State Park. So amazing riding trails over in that area that hopefully this park can help take off some recreational pressure to not only Dead Horse Point State Park, but also Arches and Canyonlands National Park in Moab. What it's also the site of, though, and what makes it unique is that it's actually home to what's called the Moab Citizen Isolation Center, which was a Japanese American internment camp during World War II era, where people were housed there. Japanese Americans were housed at Utah Raptor State Park at the Moab Citizen Isolation Center in Moab during that time frame. And it's not necessarily a happy memory, but it is an important one for us to share. Part of Utah's history is that. So there will be extensive interpretation panels on that. There's actually a trail system that takes you through some of the ruins. It's also home to a former CCC camp, the Civilian Conservation Corps, where Americans went and worked in order to have jobs on improving the natural resources. So it also has that form of history there as well. And it wouldn't be complete without talking about the name itself, Utah Raptor. Utah Raptor State Park is home to one of the richest paleontological quarries anywhere. There are so many dinosaur bones that have been discovered there. So much so that it's in the name. People who have seen Jurassic Park, the original one,
Exactly.
it's kind of
That's what
those
reminds me of.
raptors. Yeah,
Yes.
those raptors are based on the Utah Raptor, found at Utah Raptor State Park. So this park will also have a ton of prehistory history involving dinosaurs around it. We'll have mock-ups of skeletons and bones and access to go look at the paleontological quarry there. So this truly will be one for generations to remember. And it's unique in that it's going to be a park that's starting as probably one of the parks that's going to be the most visited. It's not going to need to build a clientele. It's right next to Moab. It's right there at people's fingertips. They could go visit it as they're visiting all the other areas. Dead Horse Point State Park, Goblin Valley State Park's not too far away. Even Arches and Canyonlands National Park. That's going to be a big one that I'm most excited about, that I just talked for a long time about, but I'm just so excited about it. There's also going to be improvements at Red Fleet State Park. We closed Red Fleet State Park about 1.5 years ago, I believe. And that park, if you've been there before, I'm going to highly encourage you to go again. It has gotten a complete revamp, new parking, improved campground, a brand new campground, improved beach access. I mean, Red Fleet State Park is one that's near and dear to my heart. It's always been.
And where is that located?
Red Fleet State Park is in northeastern Utah in the Vernal area. You have to drive past Steinecker State Park to get to it, but it's phenomenal. It's always been an amazing spot for locals to go and paddle and fish. They host an event every year called Paddle Fest. That is exactly what it sounds like. It's a paddle festival. If it's a canoe, a kayak, or a stand-up paddleboard, I mean, that'll be the place for you to be. And we're planning on having the grand opening celebration for it. The park will be open right now. It is open. But as far as a celebration and kickoff is concerned, we're going to be doing that in early June as part of the Paddle Fest celebration to just kind of say new and improved Red Fleet State Park. Here we are, and we're open again in a way you've never seen before.
Well, that is so exciting. And what do you have planned after this next year? Like, what direction do you think the state parks will go to continue to improve it? And are there any other challenges that you guys want to address in your long-range plan?
As far as looking to the future at state parks, we do foresee this visitation trend to continue to increase. If you look back compared to 2019, for example, in the calendar year 2019, we had 7.9 million visitors. Look at 2024, we're at 12.9. That's a big increase. That's a big increase in visitors. And there was a little dip there in 2022 as stuff started to open back up, and we saw some of the crowds that were, sticking around in Utah continue to go out and visit areas that were previously closed due to the pandemic. That still in 2022 was 9.9, 2 million more than 2019. Even with the downtrend, but now we're at 13 million, give or take. Like that's a lot. So I think that it's a challenge, but it's one that we're excited to take on, is continuing to manage this increase in visitation and helping our parks continue to keep that feel. I mean, people can go to an amusement park and get that feeling and be happy about it. But that's not why people come to state parks. So the interesting challenge that state parks faces is continuing to manage these crowds while keeping the state parks feel. And I think that you're going to see us do that by continuing to improve lodging opportunities at state parks, continuing to examine the potential of bringing on new state parks, working with our partners in the counties and at the state legislature and which areas they seem to think would be the best for us to do that, and evaluating those and probably bringing some of those discussions to the table. We're excited for those. And then also listening to our visitors, getting the feedback from our visitors and what they want to see and what they want to experience, whether that's more nighttime programming and ranger-led programs like night hikes, scorpion hunts, winter festivals, chili cook-offs, polar plunges, mountain bike races, you name it, we have it. And I'm sure there's plenty of ideas that people have out there that they would like to see at our parks. And I would encourage them to reach out to us. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you would like to see. Let us know what you haven't liked so far. We don't know what we don't know. So please let us know. You're going to start seeing a lot of more surveys going out to park visitors, both at entrance into parks as well as at visitor centers, wanting us to get feedback more directly. Like, how's your visit going right now? Did you find what you were looking for? If you're at a parks general store that's selling bait and tackle and, cereal for you to eat at the campfire or in the morning, what cereal would you like to see? We're really invested in the business. I mean, we're in the hospitality business at the end of the day. We're in the outdoor recreation business, but also the hospitality business. I think they go hand in hand because we rely on our visitors so much, is that we have to make sure that we're providing a service to our visitors that they will continue to come back and experience, because that's what helps keeps us open.
In handling the visitor numbers that seem to increase each year, have you guys considered time to entry, and what are your feelings about that?
We have had those discussions with our park managers and our stakeholders and even visitors about what timed entry to state parks would look like. We haven't implemented that anywhere yet. And instead, what we've been doing is letting people know when we're getting close to reaching capacity, when we expect to reach capacity, and when people can come back. I know for a lot of people, a lot of outdoor recreation plans, especially with busy families and life just always seems to get busy, aren't made all the time months in advance or weeks in advance. So we want to be able to cater to those individuals as well, as to, hey, I wasn't expecting to have a free day on Saturday. It's Thursday now. What do we have to do? I don't want us to be like, oh, well, we missed our timeline to get entry into Snow Canyon right now. That's a bummer. I want them to be able to have the opportunity just like everyone else does. In fact, we even do that for camping, even during busy weekends, like Easter weekend wasn't too long ago. But if you go to our reservations page, if you just visit stateparks.utah.gov and you just click on the reserve button right there from the homepage, it'll take you to our reservations vendor, Reserve America. And there's a button right there that's my favorite button to promote to people, and it says camping this weekend. You can click that button at any time of the year and it'll show you all the different campsites and lodging opportunities at all the state parks that still have openings for that weekend. And I clicked that button on Wednesday before Easter, and there were still openings at some parks that you wouldn't have expected there to be openings to. And that's what I love about state parks, is that we're trying to be the place for everybody. And it's not going to be for, every single person. There's going to be some parks that do hit capacity. There's going to be some campgrounds that are busy and you don't get that exact campsite you want. And I'm sorry to those visitors that didn't get that experience they wanted. But if you're worried that that's you or your favorite site is taken, you can go and click that button and find a brand new and exciting experience at 45 other places across the state.
Well, that's
You might find
exciting because some of us are spontaneous, and it is hard sometimes to plan way in advance to get those other reservations. So I love the fact that we can go on the website and get something at the spur of the moment to go visit our state parks. Is there anything else you want to add as we wrap this up, Devan?
Stay safe out there. I know that oftentimes you hear, anyone who watches any sort of news agency hears me say that all the time. You hear rangers say it, you hear DNR law enforcement officers say it, you hear everyone talk about safety. But what my goal is for all of our visitors to have an enjoyable time at our parks, to make lasting memories with friends and family that they'll look back on for years to come, and that they get home safely. That means wearing your helmet, wearing your life jacket, wearing your seatbelt, not operating a boat or an off-highway vehicle, or really any vehicle while you're under the influence of alcohol, and being a good steward and visitor to these areas, leaving them how you found them, cleaning up, and being that good example to make sure that these areas can stay open and accessible for generations to come. I'm born and bred Utah. I love this state. I have a deep, deep love for every single inch of it. And I want to make sure that my daughter and her family in the future and everyone's family in the future has these same opportunities that I do to go out and pick an area of the state for an activity that you want. You want to go snowshoeing, you want to go golfing, you want to go red slick rock bike riding, there's a spot for you here. And we do that by responsible recreation. We do that by continuing to visit our state parks because that's what helps keeps us open. But to do so responsibly, that's the key. That's the key right there. If anyone can take it away, it's anyone can take anything away from what I'm talking about. It's visiting them responsibly and then visiting them safely to make sure you get home.
Absolutely right. We want to keep those parks around for a long time to enjoy. And I so appreciate your time today, Devan. I've been talking with Devan Chavez, Associate Director, Utah State Parks, Utah Department of Natural Resources, Division of State Parks. This has been Stephanie DeGraw.
You've been listening to the Color Country Podcast. Enjoy your public lands and remember to leave no trace.